In today's video, I want to talk about 3 things that you can do if you find yourself feeling depressed or stuck. And before I get started, I want to make sure I double click on the difference in between feeling depressed and being depressed. If you feel like you're in a state of being depressed, it is definitely something that you should not have shame. You're not broken. You're just being human, and humans can be messy. But hello, and thank you for clicking on another video. I want to talk about 3 things that I do when I find myself feeling depressed or feeling like I'm stuck and I don't know what to do. And for me, those 2 feelings are very synonymous. So 3 things that I recommend: 1, take action; 2, talk to somebody you trust, pick up the phone; and 3, reconnect with your purpose. And I want to break each one of those down and talk about really how they supported me and how they may help you if you find yourself feeling depressed. The first thing is take action. Sometimes the simple act of taking action, doing something to demonstrate to yourself that you still have power and you still have a lot of control, I find to be one of the most powerful things that I do, and is always the first thing that I do when I'm feeling depressed or I'm feeling stuck. And I actually started this channel for the first time in my life sometime last year. I hit a point to where I wasn't always okay, and I felt like the world around me was constantly on fire, and I was dealing with some shoulder pain at the same time, and I wasn't okay. And I started this channel as a way just to do something fresh and different, and it's been a really, really enjoyable process. I don't write any scripts for these videos. I kind of talk about whatever I'm feeling that day, whatever's resonating. And for me, ability to be able to walk and share my experiences, it also lets me know that other people are going through some of the same things, and I'm just being human. And if someone else has solved that problem, I can too. And walking oftentimes allows me to do that. Another form of action you can take just to feel like you got some easy wind under your belt is write a small list of easy things you want to do in the next 1 or 2 hours. And it can be something as small as I'm going to make my bed, I'm going to go out and walk the dog, or something that you've been maybe putting off as a small project. Write a list of 3 things and start working through those, and you'll be amazed by how much that momentum of completing work and feeling good can start to move you into a more positive state. The other thing you can do is take a walk to the grocery store. Walking has so many mental health benefits and physical benefits, but I think the best benefits is mental health. It really allows you to be alone with your thoughts. And when I say take a walk with no music. Be comfortable just being able to enjoy nature. And I find walking, again, really helps me appreciate a lot. Because when you go on a walk, you find what you're looking for. And before I start a walk, I try to put myself in the mind state of wanting to go appreciate the outdoors, wanting to go appreciate God's creations. And that is a really humbling experience for me that has really helped me over the years. The second recommendation is pick up the phone and talk to somebody you trust. This was something that I haven't appreciated, and I didn't appreciate for, I don't know, probably until the last 3 to 5 years. I was one of those people that was always anti-therapist. And as I just shared, I took some time off because I was finally struggling. And the thing that had prevented me from talking to a therapist before is that I never really knew what to say or how to say it. In my mind, I'm like, oh, let me bring this person. I don't know all my problems. And I didn't really find that was going to be productive. I think the thing that ultimately worked out really well for me was being okay with not knowing what to say. And I kind of alluded to that a little bit earlier, is that I really just walked up to my therapist and said, I'm not feeling okay. And they asked me some really good, interesting follow-up questions that made me have dialogue. And they asked me well, what did it feel like? And I was able to really express for the first time in what I felt was a judgment-free zone, that it felt like my world was on fire and that I was losing control of the things that I normally felt that I had control over. And, after a few sessions, it was talking through outcomes and solutions that, I had 99% of the time. It's just really good to have somebody that's objective and looking at this from a different perspective. And it can also remind you that you're human. The other thing is you can pick up, if a therapist is not available, pick up the phone and call a friend or a close family member. And I think an important step that's often missed when you do this is sometimes you might need to let the person know that you're not in a good place and you need somebody to talk to. And either you need just to vent and need them to be amazing listeners and not offer very much perspective, or that you're not feeling okay and you're looking for somebody to challenge you because what you're feeling doesn't feel right. And both of those are okay. But just like you're a complicated individual, I'm a complicated individual, we all got our own shit going on. That person you might be calling might have something going on. They actually might have something going on that very, very moment. And the last thing you want to do is pick up the phone and unload on somebody and they reject you. And that can kind of make you feel a little bit even more defeated. And so just be mindful that while you're going through stuff, we're all going through stuff. And what we take away from it, the lessons we learn from it, how we overcome, how we persevere those things often dictate our outlook on life and our success. The last thing that I think is really important that I do, and this is like I'm pulling out all the stops. So when 1 and 2 doesn't work, 3 is try to reconnect with my purpose. And the reason why I save this one for last is because I think it takes, the most effort, but can sometimes be the most rewarding. But reconnecting with, why I do what I do is always been a really great place for me to get centered when I'm really stuck. And no matter what's happened that's been bad in my life, no matter how bad it's been or how devastating it's been, how much stress it's caused, reminding myself that I'm showing up to build a better life for my family has always been a really great motivator for me to continue to fight through whatever I need to get the job done. I think the other thing that's helpful is when I'm really struggling with something, I try to think of myself as a youth and the things that I enjoyed about myself as a youth the most. And I used to be a really, really, really curious young man. Like my grandma used to occasionally, make me put stuff down, but she always let me be a curious young man. And sometimes when I reconnect with that version of myself, like that curiosity kept me going. I always, at the end of the day, I don't want to always know what's next. Like I like the spice of life and the variety and, not to know what's happening day to day. And when I find myself depressed or losing control, it's often because things have gotten a little bit too unpredictable and I'm uncomfortable. And reconnecting with that childhood adventure and remembering for me what the purpose of life is, it's about being able to experience as much of life as possible. And if you can experience it with people you love, like that's a huge benefit. That's a huge, huge A+. And so it's a really good reminder to connect with your purpose when you find yourself feeling like that. And what is that one memory that can bring back to why this all matters? And I do believe that we all have it. Even if you don't think there's nothing ever positive that's happened in your life, I would challenge that. Because whenever there's negative, there's positive. And in the moment, it can be really hard to see that. But after a while, take some time reflecting. And I often find when you connect truly to your purpose, it can really be a great way to reset and start to get you moving in a positive direction. You're not going to go from feeling depressed overnight, or not necessarily going to go from feeling depressed to top of the world and just like that. But what you're looking for is small steps to build momentum. One of my favorite sayings is that you can only eat an elephant, or the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. And if you're feeling really, really heavy, your goal is to chew through that one bite at a time until you start to get momentum and you start feeling positive. But just remember that you're in control and you're not broken. You're just human. And life is messy. And it's supposed to be messy, and it can be messy at times. and that's okay. So that's all, folks. Hopefully this video resonates. If it does and you found it helpful, please share it with somebody who this will benefit from this message. Everybody can need to pick me up every now and then. Even the people at their highest need somebody to remind them that they're human and it's going to be okay. So thanks again, folks. This is Jimmy. I'll see y'all soon.